welcome the CEO and Executive Director for the National League of Cities, Clarence Anthony.
Good morning. Welcome to CCC, everybody. There's over 3,000 delegates here this morning, and I will tell you this, it's amazing to see you all here. When I walked into this room this morning, it reminded me of when I was a mayor of my little small town in South Bay, Florida. I entered this room in 1986, and I walked into the general session, and I said, gosh, I done found my people right here at NLC. I talked to city leaders who said that they only had one flashing light, like in their city like I did, just one flashing light. And then I ran into another leader who said that their welcome to their city sign was 50 feet from "thank you for visiting" my community. And I said, damn, that's just like my city. And I really felt like I found my people when I walked into NLC from this amazing small city. What I realized was that I wasn't alone. I wasn't the only person dealing with the issues of crime and housing. I felt like I came to DC to tell the stories of small communities and to ask the federal government to be my partner to address those issues. And in fact, over the last 100 years, NLC has helped thousands and hundreds of thousands members to come to NLC in DC in March. Whether you were from a large city, a small city, rural town or village, we came here united to lift up and to represent our residents here and to put a face on the challenges that we need a partner in from the federal level. To really fight against unfunded mandates, to get more support for housing, to help us advocate for the funds that we need to make our communities better. That's what NLC has always been about, and that's what we're about today. Because of the passionate advocacy of the leaders like you, NLC has delivered millions of dollars, billions of dollars to American cities, towns, and villages over the last century. We built a strong local partnership with the federal government. We fought to uplift the voice of those who need help through economic recessions, through national disasters. Through the pandemic, we stood up as municipal leaders when no one else was open. You were open every day during the pandemic. And guess what? We're not going to stop doing that now or never, because that's what NLC does. While a lot has changed in Washington, D.C. the past few months, there's one thing that hasn't changed and will not change. And that's our approach to fighting for communities all over America. Now, as we embark on our 101 year, all of you that were in Tampa last year, we can't keep doing that partying like we did. It's clear that our approach to provide support and leadership and to continue to have a seat at the table is going to continue as well with the 119th Congress and the Trump administration. That's why we invite the leaders of every party into NLC so that we can hear them talk about their vision for America. Last year, we were honored to have past President Biden. And this year, that's why we have Vice President Vance here to talk to you so that you can hear it. Now, one thing about it, because I'm country and slow, but I can hear stuff around the conference, and I don't ignore issues. We are local leaders. Our residents ask us to come and to lift their voices up here in Washington, D.C. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to show the civility and love to all of our members, each other, and their perspective. But we're also here to be civil and to listen and to hear whoever's in those posts about what they are doing and how we can partner. And that's why on Wednesday, over 1,000 of you have signed up to go on the Hill, to speak up on behalf of 200 million residents. Y'all, this is our opportunity to do what, you may ask? To lead now, to lead together as one united voice for cities, towns, and villages in America. When we get to the Capitol this week, we're going to stand up for our priorities. We're going to advocate for the actions that we want federal lawmakers to take on behalf of our residents. So let me talk about those priorities really quickly. The first one is I hear over and over again, and that is the issue of housing. We're going to fight to increase our nation's housing supply because we're about 5 million short of current housing needs in America. Number two, infrastructure. We're going to fight to keep the infrastructure investment that we work so hard to achieve together on both sides of the aisle through the bipartisan infrastructure law. Number three, we're going to find a way to promote public safety with the lawmakers, to communicate that we want safer communities, secure communities, and we want them to help us with that issue. Number four, we need to streamline programs for all communities. Those regulations are just too complex. We want it to be simplified and ask the question, why are we filling out all of these forms? We just need to be able to have it streamlined. And finally, number five, we will fight for community resilience. We will lobby for more resources for disaster response. Because growing up in Florida, you were the ones that were out front when these crises occurred. They didn't call the governor, they didn't call the state legislators. It is usually the local leaders that are there. Now, those 5 priorities that I just talked about, those are NLC's priorities. I am not going to stand here and ignore that you have and are dealing with a myriad of other issues. And you have local priorities, like immigration, tax-exempt municipal bond, the freezing of federal funds, crime. I want you next week to go, or this week, this Wednesday, to go up there and to continue to fight for those issues along with the priorities of the National League of Cities. This week isn't just about advocating for NLC's priority. It's for you to get there and lift up your voice for your members and your residents as well. Telling the stories, putting a face on the challenges that you have. Because oftentimes, they come home, fly home once a week, fly back up. You're there every day. But when you get there, don't forget about your people, y'all. You got all of us in here. You're not alone. You have your local partners walking around the Capitol with you. So we're going to be right there alongside of you. And NLC will do our part too, providing you with the resources that you need to be able to stand up and talk about what we need from the federal government. But to be effective, you got to show up. You have to show up. And I was going to say, and show out, but y'all actually may try to show out. Just show up. And lift your voices. And be ready to build on all the hard work that you've already accomplished while you've been in public office. We need to lead now more than ever. We need to lead together more than ever. So here's how we're going to do that. As you walk into every meeting with your member of Congress, I want you to think about that concept of leading. And I'm going to say, think about an acronym of LEAD. The first thing, be a leader. The L in LEAD, just stand up and be a leader. You were elected just like they were. They just happened to fly up here. You stay home. You do the work. So lead, because we are the strongest and most respected level of government. And let's think about your residents as you lead. The E, evidence. Tell your stories. But I know you're passionate about the story. But bring data. Unemployment, job loss, loss of revenue, whatever the program information you have, bring it, bring the facts, and leave it behind with the staff or somebody in that office. But we need data. The A, accountability. Let me tell you, as local leaders, we have to be accountable. We have to balance our budgets. We have to go to church in our own communities or to the grocery store. And that brings about a great level of accountability and respect and trust. And to me, sometimes I remember being so uncomfortable with that level of trust that my residents used to have for me. But that made me accountable. And that's exactly what we do every day. And the D in lead, I want y'all to be decisive. Once you get that data and you start telling that story, don't get intimidated. Go up there and say, here's what I need. And when they say we don't have any money, you say, I don't care, I just need my money. You got to be in there and be decisive. Don't go shrinking on me. You see me in the hallway here. Oh, man, I want this. I'm mad about that. Then you get up there with your congressional member. Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am. How you doing? No, hell no. Be decisive. Represent your community. And let me tell you, I remember the days when, now you can tell how old, we used to take photos. Do your selfie, do all of that stuff, because the technique is they will waste like 20 minutes taking photos, and then you'll sit down to talk, and they have 5 minutes to talk. What has happened? You spend all your time taking photos that nobody's gonna look at but you when you get home. But the point is, be decisive, own your role, go to work, because that's what we need. So with that, you're here to lead. Lead now. Lead together as our people here in this room. You're going to talk about those projects. You're going to talk about the policy changes that are impacting your community. You're going to talk about your community's infrastructure projects, your housing needs, your public safety needs, and you need help in resilience within your community. So, I'm hoping that we're going to talk about the funding freeze, learn about how it's going to impact your community. And at the end of the meeting, I want you to pause for a moment and just take a minute to just think about who you are representing and that great accountability and responsibility that you have. And then remembering that all strong leaders right now, we really need to lean in and support each other because we're all each other's people in this room. You may be from the north, south, east, or west, but boy, when you start talking about your city, you start telling the same stories, and others are listening to you saying, I got that too. That's like a family when you come to the National League of Cities. And we got to get out there, and we got to stand up for the needs of our communities. And when we do that, we'll be focused, we will be successful, and we will do our jobs as local leaders because that's what we do. Thank you all so much, and I appreciate you being here.